it's April, and if you're like me and you're driving around seeing all these pinwheels sort of going around and you're saying, hey, I wonder what those pinwheels mean, you're going to find out today. We have with us the executive director of Prevent Child Abuse Florida. His name is Chris Lolley. He cares deeply about issues dealing with child abuse prevention. We're going to get to hear from him on Nurturing Wellbeing with Kurt Kelly. Chris, welcome again, brother.
Thank you,
it's
Kurt.
Good to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be with you.
I'm going to let you take off and tell us a little bit about Child Abuse Prevention Month and how they're going to all get involved. So let's go with that.
Well, Child Abuse Prevention Month, as you said, Kurt, it is the national month in April. It is across the state, as you said, Child Abuse Prevention Month. The good thing to me about, as you say, we change our focus a little in April. So, you know, I've been in the intervention world for a long time, but it's kind of like when we're thinking about how we parent our kids, you know, we're taught that we need to pay attention to the things we want and not so much to the things that we don't want, because we reinforce those things by paying attention to them. So April really gives us a chance to focus on what we want. What we really want is children who are happy and healthy, carefree, you know, free from abuse and neglect. So we know what Child Abuse Prevention Month means to us, and that is being proactive in our approach and really supporting parents. We all know, you know, children, that's the best place for them to be, is with their parents. So this month gives us a chance to focus on how we do that. And one of the best ways that we know is to ask everyone to do their part, and we can talk more about that, but really to focus on supporting parents and helping them, whether that's to relieve stress or to help them figure out childcare. Those are the things that we're going to focus on.
You know, you and I were talking before we got started, and you were talking about just the fact of a caring, compassionate, engaged adult in the life of children and families, and you can support in a variety of ways. I've said this before that I remember reading in my political science books, Alexis de Tocqueville comes to America and he says, America is great because America is good. And what he was meant by that was America was involved in the lives of citizens in a community. And so one of the strengths of community-based care is that we're supposed to be like this, and people are not out on islands by themselves. And when they are, a lot of times that's where abuse can take place. So just mentoring and coaching, and you don't have to be an expert in this.
No. And, you know, a lot of people are doing these things already. So, you know, we're just asking them, keep doing what you're doing. If you're mentoring a family, as you said, if you're mentoring a child, if you're coaching a little league team, if you're teaching Sunday school, whatever those things are, you are being that caring, involved, compassionate adult. And we know what a difference one caring adult can make in the life of a child. And I'll add, can make in the life of a family too, because again, we know that's where kids belong, is with their families. So we want to support them.
And, you know, this time of year, so if you drive around the state, you'll see a symbol that is sort of speaking to that. And I remember when I first saw it, I was like, okay, what is that all about? Why they got these little pinwheel things going on here? So we now see it's the blue and white, the blue and silver pinwheels that begin to just sort of, and I know here in Tallahassee, I know Cal, I've seen them all over the state. Tell us about that, and what does that mean? And then how can our folks get involved in this effort?
Well, it's a great symbol because it denotes action. And as we were just saying, it only takes a little bit of wind to make the pinwheel turn, just like it only takes a little bit of effort on all of our behalf, you know, to contribute to supporting parents and preventing abuse and neglect by doing so. So we love talking about the symbol. It is beautiful. You see the sun glinting off of them, especially if they're near a body of water or something. It's a beautiful picture. But really, the symbolism is about the action. And we have many ways for people to get involved. They can go to our website at preventchildabusefl.org. So they can go there and learn a lot more.
Is that how they can get pinwheels as well?
Yes, that's how they can get pinwheels, yes.
All right. You know, I'd like to see out in front of every businesses and churches and everything else, that this is one area that we all collectively believe that it's right to raise our children in an environment that is nurturing and love and compassionate. and has a well-being about it. And so, and abuse is always unacceptable. And so, this is sort of it's a planting your pinwheel, planting your flag that we support this effort in our state, in our nation, in our community. And so, I'm very excited about that. All right, so let's talk about, what do you want people to know? You've already said just keep doing what you're doing. What other things can we engage, and people could find out how they can get involved in this?
Well, there's ways individuals can get involved, like what we've been talking about, mentoring a family. But, I'll tell you, Kurt, one of the best examples that I can give is when my son was born, how hectic it can be around that time. So one of the best things that anybody ever did for me was my neighbor came over and cut my grass, which, might seem like a little thing, but it gave me back 3 hours that I could spend with my wife and with my son. So we don't think about those simple things like that, but they really do go a long way. So whether that's just watching your neighbor's kids while she goes to the grocery store, while they go to, pick up some things, or even if you're providing childcare, or again, if you're doing something as a group collectively, where you mentioned, you could have a business that would put the pinwheels in front of them. Just that symbolism helps really establish the collective impact that we want to see around the state. Small groups can do these kinds of things, and larger groups and organizations obviously can contribute by supporting parents in every way that they can.
I remember back about 30 years ago, there was this whole movement about random acts of kindness.
That's right.
Listen, I don't want random acts. I mean,
Yeah.
that's fine too,
Yeah.
but I want intentional acts, intentional acts of kindness, where, just like you said, your neighbor came over and cut your grass. I think you might want to let him keep doing that,
Yeah.
but, no, that it's that kind of investment in folks saying, listen, I may not be able to be the psychologist in this aspect here for you. I may not be the counselor in this, but I can sure show you love.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think as we do a lot of those things in our society, children, you can talk about this all you want, but they catch this.
Yes.
And when they see that people care for them and love them, there's a terminology that is often used about prevention. And I heard, when I first got here involved in the coalition, I used to hear people say, well, Kurt, we don't do primary prevention.
Mm-hmm.
We actually do secondary, or what would be diversionary tactics, or in some cases we mitigate circumstances through interventions and things of that nature. But we're not really into primary prevention. Help me with that. Explain to me a little bit about what you would think primary prevention can be.
Simply put, primary prevention is stopping abuse before it starts. But let me elaborate a little bit.
All right,
more,
let's go there.
So, we also see where children in our community may have some risk factors. Like, the simple ones are just being a young parent. You don't know what to do. Maybe you've never had the opportunity to learn from anyone else about how to be a parent. And there's no real good book. And
they don't give a book on that when you first get. There's not a manual,
always
there?
born
There's not
with.
a manual.
That's
I got
right.
it. Yeah.
So sometimes risk factors like substance abuse and those kind of things can put children at risk. So those efforts are targeted at what we call secondary prevention, but then there's tertiary. So they should have just called it third or final, because tertiary means like, it's already happened, but we want to do our best to keep it from happening again. So there's primary, which involves things like supporting parents, like we talked about, and you and I talked about before. What can we do? So we know that social connections are critical. We talk about the protective factors. We talk about those circumstances and conditions that are present in communities, as you said, where we do have healthy communities make stronger families, So when we're talking about primary prevention, we talk about protective factors, and social connections is certainly one of those. Just having someone to talk to, or having someone to listen, is probably a better way to put it.
Last year we had a big thing across the state, and it kind of went regional, but the First Lady and Eric Dellenbach for the Governor's Faith Initiative, and at the time the Secretary Chad Popple, came on and they brought on Chris Tomlin, who is a world-renowned Christian singer. Probably if you don't know his songs, you don't go to church.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's his songs there. And then Tony Dungy, which was
Of course.
Super Bowl
Coach
champion and
Dungy, yeah.
coach,
Mhm.
awesome. And they did a thing with the first lady and all of our folks talking about how we engage the faith community into this process. And as little as, and of course, people can say, I pray for you, and they're praying for them, but also engaging. And it was just acts of kindness. And the first lady used this term. If she used it once, she used it every time. And I appreciate it. She said, sometimes we don't know what to do. Bring a pan of lasagna.
Yeah, that's
Now,
great.
I hope she's got some great
Yes,
lasagna. I'll take
that's
her up
great.
on that.
Yes, yes.
And that's kind of what we're talking about here. There are professionals that do this, and they're very skilled and very talented in going in and addressing the academic and the real particular need. But quite frankly, when we surround people from our community to love them, that's where the healing really begins.
That's the great thing about it. And I should have added at the same time, the guy came over and cut my grass. We had a Sunday school class that did a food train. So it was just really nice, especially not to have to worry about what you were going to cook that night. You're both there. You're already somewhat overwhelmed. Like, we've never done this before. I couldn't believe the nurse was letting us leave and go home by ourselves. She didn't come with us, but everybody can do something. And the faith community, we're working with one of the local partners here, say Families for Children, to reach out and do exactly what you've just described. And that is have the church, have places of faith, be there for families and be willing to open their doors and their hearts to those kinds of things that we know can help families and support children and keep them safe.
Been involved in a little politics every now and then, and sometimes you can become somewhat jaded, and you can almost think, "Man, we're just headed down a bad path." And there's some times that I can say that, but the truth is, there's a lot of good Americans.
Thank you.
There's a lot of good Floridians, and there's a lot of folks that says, you know what, I'm not going to let this thing fall apart, not on my watch. And I think that's what organizations like yours are doing.
Yes.
Is you give the you're not having to do it all. You're out there just saying, this is a vehicle. Come join us, or come find out from us, and we'll help you. If you want to start an organization, we'll help you.
Yes.
I say
Yes.
the same thing here from the coalition. But man, again, unbelievable work you do. I'm thankful for you. You and I have some more work to do on some other issues
we
this
do.
year that we're working together
we
with.
do.
And I just want you to know how much we appreciate you taking time again. It'll be a year again, and we'll do another interview. But I want just one more time how they can get a hold of you and your organization.
Kurt, I'm so glad you gave me this chance, because preventchildabusefl.org is the place to go. But you're absolutely right. Prevention happens in partnership. So we want people to reach out to us. That's the only way we can do our work. And I don't even give out my desk phone anymore. People are welcome to call me on my cell phone at 850-933-3271. And if I'm getting out on here, I really mean that.
Yeah, absolutely.
People
Call them
are
at 2
welcome
o'clock
to
in the
call.
morning.
No, wait. Maybe I should backtrack
You
a
back
little
up on
bit.
that.
Yeah.
Well, you'd like me, just turn it off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, it is. This does bring out the best in people, and it does give us something to rally around. I don't think there would be anyone who would say that, we shouldn't support parents, or, this is on them. Everybody needs help every now and then. Everybody needs help every now and then. We want people to be willing to ask for help, but we also want people to be there when they do. And providing that type of assistance, as you said, takes everybody.
16th, I think, of April, I have to go and speak to a big men's group. And you just gave me what I'm going to speak on. I mean, I just thought about that. I'm going, yeah, this is, because I was wondering what should I do to encourage them and how to get engaged, because they want to.
Yeah.
And now I've got a way of being able to talk about it. Thank you, brother. Listen, again, you're awesome. You're always always a joy just to have on.
Thank you, Kurt.
You let your light shine, and so we appreciate you. I think, as you just saw, I was really encouraged just to be a part of this episode. and talking with Chris Lolley of Prevent Child Abuse Florida. Chris gave us some real practical ways in which we can get involved in children's lives. And, the part that's interesting is to see how many citizens are just involved in mentoring and coaching and involving them in all different types of ways in children's lives, so that we can say in our state of Florida, plant our pinwheel, and we can make a statement that we are not going to allow child abuse to go unchecked here in Florida. We're going to stand against it. If you want to get more involved in it, make sure you reach out to Chris Lolley and his team. And with that, thank you for watching Nurturing Wellbeing with Kurt Kelly.